Streaming and there we go.
Hey folks, Bill Swift from Swift Canoe and Kayak, and thanks for joining us today. We're going to have some fun. There's three important things going on today, Sunday, February 7th. The first one is that it's my mom's birthday. 93 years old, go skinny. She's staying COVID-free, and let's hope it stays that way. She's been a huge influence in my life, and she's a grand gal. Many of you know her. Cheers to Skinny. The second thing is, we're going to spend the next couple hours talking about canoes, pack boats, kayaks, tripping equipment, maintenance. We love these boats that we've created, and we want to tell you all about them. And what's the third thing, Scott? Oh yeah, it's the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl, someone told me, is on today. And just a little tidbit of information. One of the NFL owners owns two boats, Swift boats, a Prospector 16 and a Kawasa. We believe in client confidentiality, so you'll have to guess. You have a 1 in 32 chance. So let's start talking about boats. How does this showroom look to you folks? How would you like a barn full of boats? This is what we've created. This is what we're really proud of. And this is what we're going to talk to you about. So I wanted to first start off just going over some of the new stuff for this year. And we're going to show this rack, Joe. These are our combi canoes. And the boat on the bottom, the Prospector 17, is a modified combi that I'm going to show you in a little detail. We've been finding that over the last few years, people are looking for more and more versatility in their boats. So what we've done is we've created a really cool seating system, and I'd really like to start out by showing that to you in great detail. Scott, do you want to help me bring this Prospector 15 down? Yeah, let's just bring it down on the ground. Wow, it's heavy. Holy. So this is a carbon inert Prospector 15. This is what the engineers in our factory, Matt and Terry, have created that is just, it's blowing people away right now. So let me show this to you. It's got this really cool attachment system. It's quickly, you can take the seat right out. What's great about this is we've got detachable yokes that just screw on. We put pins right at the balance point. This is a great two-person boat. Then, when you put the solo seat in, it's an awesome, awesome solo boat. So what I'm going to do now, that's how quickly I can set this up for the lower center seat position. We have something called the GCI sit backer, the folding chair, and it puts you right about at the pack boat height. So if you want to do some fishing, just more stability, or a third person that you want to keep really low in the boat to give lots of stability to it. And then again, this quickly, I can take this off, and I can bring this baby right up. Now, one of the keys to this is that look how wide we make all of our seat frames. I haven't seen anybody else in the canoe industry do this with all their seats. I've seen them do it with a couple. What this does is it allows you to move more over to the side of the boat. In a boat like this Prospector 15, that's so comfortable to paddle in the traditional Canadian manner, I can really lean it way over to the side. So I can get right in here and paddle just really gracefully. So the combi canoes, we're doing in a bunch of different configurations. This is the Prospector 15. They come standard with a fixed seat in the middle position. The multi-height pods I'm showing you is an option. The Prospector 16 we're doing it in. the Wayden 16 we've been doing this is our second year, and this is the boat that's sort of spurred this all on and really given us the ideas. And then right now, the guys at the factory are tooling up the center seat position for the Wayden 17. Are folks able to hear well, Scott? Is sound?
Yeah, we're hearing it's a little bit in and out, but then I've got some people saying it's a little bit more consistent right now, so maybe Joe, just make sure you stay close. I don't know if it's a distance thing, but it seems like we're okay.
Excellent. Nice. We want to put on a good show during Skinny's birthday. So the Wayden 17 is going to be the newest version. It's not in our price list or anything. It's going to be ready in about April 1st. And then, Scott, why don't you help me bring this Prospector 15 back up for a sec? And what we're going to do is pull out the Prospector 17. Boy, that's heavy, isn't it?
Shoulders killing me.
Okay. So, guys, this boat is loaded with options. And Serge, if you're listening, you've ordered an absolutely beautiful boat. So, this is a Prospector 17. It's got the carbon tech package. It's got the bow sliding seat in the front. It's got the center seat, and it's also got a carbon foot bar. This literally is about a $6,000 canoe. But guys, what I wanted to say partially to you is I grew up in a very modest family. My dad had a 67 Mustang and a 71 Firebird. And I just like really nicely engineered, cool products my whole life. I've got carbon road bike frames, mountain bike frames. I love a really well-made boat, well-made product. So when we started building our boats, we had no idea we'd get to this point, but we love paddling more than anything. We're not getting rich doing this. We're making a good living, but we love creating these products that people really enjoy to use. And this is really neat what we've done with this boat. So this is the center seat position, not right at the balance point. On the combi canoes, it's right in the middle, and if you're by yourself, you're balanced in the boat. This is if you've got a third person tripping with you, or if you do want the ability to use it by yourself, but you want to keep the yoke in the traditional manner. And what's cool about this is that for $100 extra, we make it detachable. So that if you just want to take your family out or go paddling with two people, you don't need to have the seat right in the middle. A lot of these things, they'll add a little bit to the price, but look what you get out of this. Like a lot of the way that I think about it a lot with these combi canoes, or the versatility we've created with all these products, is that you get 2, 3, 4 boats in one. It's really neat. So again, I'll show you how easy it is to put in. It's got these neat tabs on the front. And then in the back of all of these seats that are detachable, there's magnets, which really holds it in place nicely. Now, if I'm driving down a gravel road for 2 hours or driving 10 hours to go on a trip, take the seat out and put it in your car. Same with the detachable yoke. You don't want to risk anything just vibrating and coming off at all. So the combi canoes are great new products. So we've got standard now, the Prospector 15, Prospector 16, Wayden 16, and soon to be Wayden 17 you can order with the fixed seat right at the top for canoe position, or you can get the option of the multi-height pods. So you can use it in the lower pack boat height as well.
What's the weight of this canoe?
This boat right here, with all these options on it, is going to be 50 pounds, because this is the Expedition Kevlar laminate. This is the heaviest laminate we do. And the basalt negra on the outside and the inside, it's got a real earth tone look to it. This is one of the favorite builds we do. We get a lot where people see a boat like this. So sometimes it's hard to get the exact look that you want in the lightest weight boat. You need to sacrifice one or the other. The Expedition Kevlar, so cool looking. Is it working, Scott?
We're great, we're good.
So the Prospector 17 can be as light as 40 pounds. So Scott, do you want to help me put this baby back in?
Sure.
So brand new this year combi. So Joe, let's just take a little stroll around here. We'll go this way. So here are our popular Wayden series of boats. And the top one is a Wayden 16 with the pack seat configuration. We call this the limousine. So it's got the nice kayak seats, adjustable lumbar support. If you have some back pain or you just can't get comfortable canoeing, try this baby out. It's amazing. The two middle canoes are the boats that I use all the time. And I've got a question for you guys out there. Do you name your canoes? This Wayden 16, Adrian and I call Lila. Here's a Wayden 17 that we use all the time. We call this one Luna. And I'm going to go over a little bit later when we talk about tripping why we like to configure the boats the way they are. I love the bow sliding seats and the carbon foot bars in the tripping boats. And we'll talk about that more. Nice Wayden 17 family boat on the bottom. And then look over yonder. We've got some other babies here. We've got the nice Wayden 14. This is a ruby over champagne solo canoe. It's got the multi-height pod system. And here's a boat that a lot of people have been asking us about. This is our best-selling pack boat right now, the Cruiser 14.8. It's got the black reflective stickers on it. It's in carbon with the Raven paint finish. And folks, if you haven't seen it, you can Google the 2021 Swift Technology video. We go over in great detail how we make a lot of these boats. I'm going to show you some other things right now. Matt Steffler, our head engineer, has one of my favorite lines a Swift video has ever had. I was asking him about the carbon laminate, and his first response was, "Who doesn't love carbon?" And Matt, you're bang on. I love carbon, and I believe many out there love carbon also. Here's a Cruiser 15 8-pack boat. It's a lot of people really like this look. This has the carbon Negra, and on the bottom, it's got the yellow. And we don't use a bright yellow. It's an off color. It's more of a goldy yellow. We put yellow stickers on it. So here's another one of those issues about weight versus look. So the champagne two-tone bottom on the solo boats and the pack boats adds about 1.5 pounds, 2.5 pounds, depending on the size of the boat. When you add the color to it, it's going to add another pound or two, and it's the pigment in the color. We need to spray it at a consistency so it's a bit thicker. Now on the bottom is another beautiful boat. This is a Wayden 15 pack, and this is the Expedition Kevlar laminate that has the beautiful Basalt Negra on the inside. It's got the black and gold carbon Kevlar trim, the cherry interior, and on the outside it's got the emerald green. Now when we do the Expedition Kevlar laminate, the three core colors we have, the ruby, the emerald, and the sapphire, they get a little bit of darker looking, and it's because there's a layer of Basalt Negra underneath it that gives us this really cool look. All right, other boats. Joe, look what we have down here. So we are going to be doing questions and answers, and if any of you folks have any questions at all, send them into Scott. Scott is live here. And actually, we didn't show people that. Joe, why don't we give people a quick look? Do you want to go? Let's go back over here. Why don't you show Scott's setup back here, the computer, and he's live with you guys. So if you're going to be sending in questions, Scott.
Yeah, I don't know how well you guys can hear me right now, but I've got my little booth set up here. And everyone that's commenting right now, that's me that's answering you. So there's already questions, there's already lots of people that we know. Paul Gock's watching, Darren Bush is watching, lots of names that we know. So if you guys have questions, comments, send them to us now. We're going to try to get to the Q&A around 11 or 1:15, maybe a bit earlier. But hey, I'm here. Say hi.
Scott, you're looking stylish with that sweatshirt. Where did you get that?
I should also mention this. That's a good idea, Bill. We have swag now. You can go to swiftoutside.com. There are new sweaters, there are t-shirts, there are hats, there are stickers. We got some inventory. It's already moving quick, so if you guys do want to get some, I would definitely get on that. But you can't beat this. I will definitely be wearing this in the backcountry this spring.
Nice. So, Joe, let's circle back over here. We'll go back to those little pack boats. I wanted to show folks, our boats are all designed by David Yost, and we have a really good collaboration. We work back and forth. We talk about new designs. 3 years ago, he came to me and he said, Bill, I've got a boat I want to do for you that you're not asking for, and I think it's really going to sell well. And it's this boat right here, the Prospector 14. And we were a little bit skeptical at first. We weren't sure that people would want a boat with a traditional shape in this size. It is now by far our best-selling solo canoe, and it's about tied for our second best-selling pack boat. And DY, you're a frickin' genius. And we've loved the collaboration we've had over the years. Some of the things that make DY's boats very distinctive is that he gently rounds the chine area on all of his boats, and something that he points out to me quite often, they're very consistently rounded from one end to the other. There's many other designers that you'll see the shapes change throughout the boat. This gives the boats a very predictable feel when the waves hit the side to roll underneath it. And if you do want to heel the boat or lean it over on the side, in these Prospector boats, it's just a joy to do it. Here's a Prospector 14 in the black carbon with the Expedition carbon layup. On the inside, it's got the Basalta Negra with the cherry trim on it. We built this last year for a Rutabaga customer, and we loved it so much that we had to build a second one. A lot of people get the carbon Kevlar trim for us. It's light, it's beautiful, it's durable. But if you love wood, we do a great wood trim as well. Then the boat on the bottom is our standard Kevlar layup with a ruby finish. It's got the universal mount package on it, the carbon foot bar, the multi-height pods. This is a very popular setup with people both in Ontario and throughout the US, Western Canada. We do lots of Prospector 14s like this. Tucked in the corner over here, we got some other beautiful boats. We've got the Cruiser 16.8 in both the pack boat configuration, and we're going to be talking about this a little bit later. We got a question from a customer on this. This has the real popular canoe setup where the seat and the foot brace slide together. And I'm going to show you something that our marketing manager, Carmen, may not be happy with me talking about, but Carmen will make it up some other ways. You'll enjoy this. Okay, and Scott, if you could help me again for a second. We also make kayaks. So we're going to grab the Boreal one here, Joe, and we're going to come over. Can you reach it in there, Scott? Kayaks need their fair talking about, don't they? So we have done a video on this in the fall. This is just a prototype version right here. This is our Saranac 15, what we call an LC, a large cockpit. We took the cockpit shape of the Kawasa 14, and we put it on this particular boat. It needed a little modification. This is just a prototype. So the finished version is going to have the carbon cockpit rim. So what we've found over the years, and the pack boats have become huge for us, is that in the old day with kayaks, you had to wiggle your way into the cockpit, and they had tight fits. They pushed your legs down if you were an adult. They felt great when you were kids, but as we get older, not as much comfort. So the pack boats are so popular because they're so roomy, they're so light, they paddle so nicely. So what you're going to start seeing from us is we're going to do more and more of our kayaks that are going to look like this. And we're starting with the Saranac 15. And what's neat about this is that when you paddle, the more you can keep your legs bent to a certain point, the more comfort that you have. When your legs are pressed down, like in many of the kayaks of yesteryear, as you paddle, your legs start getting tired and they can cramp up and not feel good. When you can bend your knees more while you're paddling, it really makes it more comfortable. You can paddle for hours. You can move your legs around. What's really neat about this cockpit is we've designed it where if you want to, if a big boat comes by, big waves are coming at you, you can brace your knees underneath just to give you more hip control and more feeling of being one with the boat. I like paddling like this a lot, though. I mean, this is how I'm going to be in the kayak, this boat, most of the time. We are doing a cockpit cover and spray skirt for it. So this baby's going to be in production about April 1st. A Collinsville customer, Charles de Gusenberg, inspired this boat for us, and thank you, Charles, if you're listening. So, Joe, we were over here when we tuned out for a sec. So here are some of our most popular pack boats. I'm 6'4". I've been showing you the bigger boats that a lot of bigger guys use. These are the boats, the Pack 13.6, the boat that Joe Robinette has helped us make very popular, the Pack 12.6, which is an absolute honey of a boat, and then last year's new boat, the Cruiser 12.8, which is the little sister to the Cruiser 14.8, our most popular boat. This is a great boat for an average size to smaller person that's looking for a lightweight cruising boat. Not a boat for someone my size. I can paddle this boat. It can take 240 pounds. But this is ideal for 160 pounds and under, lightweight tripping. Beautiful, beautiful boat. These cruisers are spectacular, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. The kayaks have been unbelievable this year. We're selling so many of them. So here are our popular Adirondacks with the big open cockpits. The Kawasa 14 on the bottom. This is the boat that has the size cockpit that inspired us to do the Saranac 15 LC. And then we have some of our Kawasas back here, and then an Adirondack 10 LT. So if you folks have any specific questions about any of the boats here, send the questions into Scott, and we're going to be talking them through. How are we doing for time, Scott?
We're good. It's 12:25. We've got a few more minutes until we get into tripping.
Excellent. So let's do this then. Scott, do you want to help me put this Saranac back to give Joe a little room? We'll rack this baby back up. We're lucky here, people that work for Swift, we get to paddle all these babies. And we got quite a few of them at my camp in Algonquin Park where we get to play with them. So let's talk technology a little bit. Here's something else that we've really changed quite a bit for this year. And what I want to do is talk to you guys a little bit about, we came out with the 2021 technology video, how we're building our boats this year. We've had about half a dozen people that bought boats last year that have contacted us saying, what are you doing? Is my boat obsolete now? Every company, Ford, GM, whatever industry you're in, every year a company makes improvements. We've just ordered our 5th Ford F-250. And the one we're getting now is the same model style as the one we got 4 years ago. They're making a change for 2022. And the salesman went over, but here's all the new features you get on it. I'm like, well, we don't need all that. But you get it. It's built into the price. They've improved it every year, even if they're not changing the body style. So we've done the same things. So all of you that have bought a boat in 2020 from us, you have an incredible boat. We've made a tweak to the technology. The boats built last year, we built without gel coat with this incredible urethane resin system that is as stronger than mid-range epoxies and above. It's stronger than vinyl ester, polyesters, made with resin infusion. The only thing about last year's boat is you need to be concerned about UV protection. So you need to spray what's called Protectant 303 on the outside of the boat 2 or 3 times a year. The 3 times if you're storing it outside, 1 or 2 times if you're storing it inside. So what we've done this year is we've developed a way to put a thin gel coat on the outside. Our man, Matt Steffler, he works closely with the companies that supply us with resins and gel coats. So they've developed a way to very thinly apply gel coat that matches the flex characteristics to our urethane resin system. So look at this, guys. This has a gel coat on it. Typically, when you have a gel, and I may have one here, when you flex it, you get that cracking. See that? This is the same laminate. So this is unbelievable what we've done. Now, the difference from 2020 boats is that it's adding a little bit of weight. On the solo boats, pack boats, it's adding 1 to 2 pounds depending on the weight of it. The tandem canoes, it adds 2 pounds, 3 pounds to the real big boats like the Wayden 18.6. But you're getting a boat that has complete UV protection. And you're going to be able to use pretty hard. But guys, our boats are killer. If you bought a boat in 2017, 2018, there was a Facebook post. The guy picked up a real old boat, and I messaged him, and they said, oh man, you've got a collector's item. That's a great boat to have. And his response back to me was, Bill, every Swift boat is a collector's item. And that's what I agree with. I love when I see a boat at a dealer, one of our stores, or if I'm out tripping somewhere, and it's a Swift boat that is all scratched up, end to end, and I know those people in that boat have been having a lot of fun out in the bush together. So, guys, our boats are beautiful. We've put a lot into the aesthetics. I grew up in cedar canvas boats with beautiful wood interiors, so I've always put an emphasis on the visuals of a boat. But at the same time, they're meant to be used. Your first scratch will always be your hardest scratch. But after that, you're going to get used to it. So some of you who've seen some of our older videos have seen this. So let's go over this again. This is very cool. So what we do is we like to show people what happens when the Canadian Shield, it's not so nice to your boats. When you run over it, a lot of these buggers lurk just below the surface of the water. So let's do this. We're going on a really good trip. Look at that. Now, you can, with the scratches you're seeing on the Ruby here, you can, when you get back from your trip, you can put a coat of wax on it. You can spray it with Protectant 303. It won't get rid of this mark completely, but it really dulls it down. But look at the difference with the white. Now, at certain angles, if you look at it, you can really see it. But this is the reason that a lot of people get the two-tone finish on the bottom. but it comes at a cost in weight. So right now, I'd say we're getting about 50% of people getting their boats with the two-tone and 50% getting it without. And if you get it without, learn to love your scratches. We had a customer way back when, this was like 15 years ago, that bought a Kippewa from us in the old days. And his boat was scratched like you wouldn't believe. On the inside, he had written the trips that he had done and where he got the biggest scratches on it. It was kind of cool. So he was proud of his scratches. He was one of the customers I really like running into. So guys, again, look at this showroom. So Scott, we're running ahead of schedule, which isn't bad. So we can start talking tripping and other things, or do you want to get into something else for a bit?
Actually, yeah, I have something else for you because we've got a lot of comments going on right now. A lot of people noticed the kayaks and wanted us to show a little bit more. In particular, the 12LT on the top rack. Somebody asked if we could run through that. So if there's anything,
it's a beautiful boat.
On the kayaks,
actually, let's bring the. Do you want to? Let's put the horses out here and I'll bring it over, Scott. It's an awfully heavy boat, but I think I can get it by myself. So this is a beautiful boat, guys. This is, and it's actually a customer's boat, so we'll take good care of it. This is our most popular kayak. So, and this is the first kayak that David Yost ever did for us, and it really helped change the kayak industry. In that it helped bring performance and lightweight into the mainstream market. So this boat's 12 feet 2 inches long. It's 27.5 inches wide at the widest point. The water line, it's about 24.5. Yeah, if you want to back up for a second here, Joe, we'll get a side profile. So the water line on this boat is narrow. And the boat's much sleeker at the water. When you take a stroke with these David Yost kayaks, they really accelerate nicely and they glide into the next stroke beautifully. They're not race boats, but they're boats that at the average cruising pace of a recreational touring paddler, they're extremely efficient in the water. They have carbon cockpit rims, which incidentally, this is what the cockpit rim on the new Saranac 15 is going to have that I was showing you. And let me go over this right now. It's a good boat to do it with. This is one of the single biggest features of Swift kayaks and Swift pack boats. This is our high back seating system. And kudos to Master Brain Joe Galea for helping us develop this. So when you're not using it, you just put it down right like this. When you go to use it, you clip it in the back here. Let me take the production tag out of the boat. All of our boats now, when they come to you, they'll come like this. They've got the owner's manual in the back of them. The date it came out. I'm learning something here. The serial number's on it. I didn't know they were doing that. Okay. When you go to flip it up, make sure that the plastic isn't behind the back of the seat. Tuck the plastic in, and when you bring it up, don't crank this like crazy. Leave it where it's a little loose. And the reason is, there's strap in the back here. This is one of the best creations of this product. This strap flows through here. And I'm going to show you why that's so cool. So clip it up. Don't crank it like crazy. Then when you go to use it, when you sit in it, the first thing you're going to do is adjust the lumbar support to fit your back nicely. I ruptured a disc in the old days, and part of the therapy I had was to use lumbar support in my office chair in my vehicle. And I just thought, we've got to be able to do this in our boats. And guys, this is incredible. It's really flexible. It's a real nice foam. People absolutely love this. If for some reason you don't, you can just tuck it off to the side, but 99% of people love it. Now, these work just like a backpack strap. So when you kayak, you move your body. And in fact, the more you move your body, the more efficient your kayak stroke. This seat moves with you. And it's got such a good feel to it. The padding's so thick, both for your back and your butt. It's got this beautiful, real lightweight, breathable nylon material. Absolutely incredible. So the Adirondack 12 LT, this boat, what we did is we didn't put the hatches on it. It's got lots of flotation and very solid foam pillars on it. If you're near a big ocean area, if you're going to take it out in the ocean, which most people don't do with a boat like this, you can get supplemental flotation if you think you need it to put in the ends, but it's very buoyant without it. We put a big open space right back here. And David Yost did this in that in the old style boats in the Adirondacks, people would take the woven packs when they went out for their picnics. And one of those style packs fits right in the back, right here, standing up nicely, beautifully for your picnic. With modern paddlers, dry bags, room for a small child, a dog with you. This boat is really versatile. This is a Firestorm deck, the red and the orange together, and it's got the carbon bottom on it. Now the carbon's going to show the scratches, but this is the lightest weight to build it, so a lot of people get it this way. Do you think I answered the questions there on that one, Scott?
I think you covered it, yeah.
That was a good one. Okay, should we roll into tripping, or what do you think we should do?
Yeah, let's get into tripping.
Okay, so guys, we're going to talk to you a little bit about both solo tripping and tandem tripping. So why don't we start with this? Scott, let's bring the Wayden 16 down here. This one is Lila. So do you want to put this one back up for me, Scott?
Yep.
Awesome. We are social distancing, being very careful. We are in a very low area of COVID, but as we know, you never know how it's going to spread, how people are going to get it. So one of the things that I love about tripping is I love trying to keep the boat as level as I can in the water. You're going to optimize the performance of the boat that way. So this particular boat has the bow sliding seat in the front. So my tripping partner, Adrian, only weighs 120 pounds. She's about 5'7", 5'8", but she's very mighty like Seabiscuit. And she really likes to paddle. We cruise at a pretty good pace, and she just loves it. She'll adjust the seat right here, where her feet are right on the float tank. When you're paddling, you absolutely transmit your power by pushing on your feet. Olympic paddlers, when they train them, a good friend of mine, Terry Kent, was an Olympic kayaker. The coaches train them, they almost stand on their foot braces. And we're not out to race. We're recreational paddlers, but we like cruising and covering more ground. We figure the more ground you see, the better chance you're going to see moose, bear. We saw a really cool looking mink last year. So we're able to adjust the trim some that way. So what we'd like to do also is on extended trips, take 2 backpacks and put the lighter weight one right in the behind the yoke, and then we put the heavier one that the mighty Adrian carries in the front, and then we tuck it in. And something else that really works out nicely is we do a lot of day tripping also. And Adrian's day pack fits perfectly right here if you have an extra dry bag. So we're 120 pounds difference in weight, so we really try to load the weight forward. Very cool way to go. Now, one of the things that I love about the Waydens, and the stern foot bar set up here for someone pretty short, I'll just go over it right now. This boat actually was one of our main tripping canoes 2 years ago, and because of the pandemic last year, we were so short on boats. This became a loaner boat at our Algonquin store. So Carmen tells me this one went out 12, 15 times with people tripping last summer, and it's been well loved, very scratched up. So what I love about the Waydens, David Yost put a fair amount of tumble home on them where he really pulled the sides in here. And this is different than you'll see a lot of our competitors do that straight side their boats. Costs less to build them that way. You can pull them out of one-piece molds. All of our Tandem boats right now are made out of two-piece molds except for the Algonquin 16, but the sides are pulled in here. So when I'm paddling, I don't have to reach as far over the sides. I can transmit more of my energy just going forward like this. Now, something else that's real important for the bow paddler, and this is one of David Yost does a fantastic design talk, and we're going to, once the pandemic's over, we're going to record him for this. The bow paddler, when he designs a two-person canoe, the first thing he starts with is bow paddler comfort. The person in the back of the boat, they can see everything. They can see the waves coming. They see their partner in the front. If there's a dog in the boat, you can see when people are moving around. The person in the front of the canoe has a much narrower field of vision in terms of seeing the waves coming in, which way they're coming from, and most importantly, doesn't see the big guy in the back moving around with the boat all of a sudden leaning over. So if you can get the bow paddler comfortable, it's a big, big key to having a happy canoeing adventure. So David Yost really designs the bow paddling station. So when Adrienne puts her feet on the boat, it also makes it much more secure for her. Now, I'm a little bit bigger, so if I was going to be in this boat, paddle with a buddy, I can still move the seat up a little bit, put my feet right on the tank. We've got locking knobs on the back of this. I just lightly put them in. And in fact, sometimes I keep them loose because when your weight's on the boat, it really doesn't move much, the sliding seat. And it gives you the ability, if you want to, while you're out paddling, you can adjust it just on the fly. But see how narrow this is? So smaller people, the more they slide the seat forward, the narrower it gets and easier it is for them to reach over the sides when they're paddling. So if you're lightweight tripping, average size people can take a Wayden 16 up to 7-10 days. Larger people like myself, this is to me a good 3-4 day tripping boat. Adrienne and I love taking day trips in this boat because it's a little lighter, especially if there's some long portages. One of my favorite places to go, Pine Tree Lake in Algonquin, starts out with a 2-kilometer portage right from the highway. Having a little bit smaller, lighter weight boat is a great way to go for a trip like that. So now everybody needs more than one tripping boat. You can't just stop at a Wayden 16. Are we doing well, Scott? Okay, do you want to help me we're going to put Lila up. Remember, we've named this boat Lila. Did you get any responses to the boat name question?
I did, but we've had a whole bunch of technology questions coming through, so I'm just trying to keep up.
Okay, so let's bring down Luna. I think Adrienne may be watching and she wanted to make sure that Luna made it in the video. So let's just show you something, guys. We use this boat hard. There's some marks on here. We have there's things that we've hit that we've just looked at each other like, uh-oh, what have we done? And I just get more and more blown away by the durability of our boats. So one of the keys, I haven't talked about it right now, is that our parents started Algonquin Outfitters, canoe rental operation, 1961. Right now, there's about 1,000 composite rental boats, composite being Kevlar primarily. And we develop how we build all of our boats through the rental operation. It's how we got into the resin infusion process. It's how we developed the core and rib system. We tried the cross ribs like some people do, but over time, those boats, when they get used hard, the bottoms end up having a bit of deshaping to them. And one of the keys we found to all of this is that we make the rib on the boat. You see right here, this is a rib right in here. Wherever we put a seat pod, there's a rib. Right around the yoke area where you flip the boat up, we put a big rib. The stern seat on this boat, we actually move forward because someone weighs quite a bit. This is a custom job that Terry at the factory did, and thank you, Terry. And it's really beefy though. It's mostly on the rib itself. This boat was a factory blem at the very beginning. It's got a little kink to the gunnel if you look closely here, but the water doesn't know that. The waterline shape of it is perfect. And we have used this boat so much. So let me show you a couple things here. This is one of the keys to comfort in paddling. So all of our seats are curved from side to side. We also angle the front bar forward, so if you're ever kneeling, this doesn't dig into the back of your thighs at all. So here is the piece de resistance, or John Werner, Très Magnifique. This is our pack boat and our kayak seat pad with a real thick medical foam in it with straps on the bottom of it. When you're 15, 20, 25 years old, when we were camping, when we were kids, we'd sit in the middle. You can sit anywhere and you're comfortable. As we get older, though, comfort becomes more and more important. So Adrian and I we developed this by, I had Joe Galea make a couple of the seat pads. He makes all of our stuff. And I didn't have the straps in the bottom, and I used to always put them in just in the boat while we were tripping. So we had them start making these with the straps on the bottom of them. And guys, if you want comfort in paddling, holy smokes. I'm in my 50s now. My shoes come untied. So this just adds a whole nother level of comfort. They're only $60 a piece. We have them on our web store. You can buy them through your dealers. So when you paddle, you twist a little bit. The most efficient way to paddle, and we're going to be doing some online on-water videos to show a bunch of this stuff. You want to try to turn your shoulders to elongate your stroke and try to keep your stroke more in front of you. And when you do that, you move your butt cheeks a little bit with every stroke. These seat pads are incredible. And what's really cool about them, you can take them off. You can put them on your campsite, sit on them. You can also, if you're just out for the day, take them off, put them on a log, put them on the sand beach. They're so versatile. So let me show you how we like to load this boat up. So a lot when we're two-person tripping, we can put 2 packs. These are my favorite backpacks. I know everyone's using barrels and there's other types of packs. These are the Algonquin Outfitter tripping packs. They've got foam in the back, they've got padded backpack straps, and we learned to use tumps when Portage packs with tumps when we were a kid, so they've got the tumps on them. So this is how, when you're tripping, you can compensate for the guy in the back weighing a lot more than the bow paddler. So we'll trip a lot like this. Weight right there. Maybe put a smaller day pack there. I like to try to do my trips where we do the portages in one carry. So I'll carry the canoe and a pack, and the mighty Adrian, Seabiscuit Adrian, will carry a heavy pack, and we can get over the portages in one carry. Now, sometimes you can't. I'm at the point now in my life where when I trip, I take a pillow with me. I love comfort. And I remember when we were kids at camp, we didn't take thermarests or anything. We just slept right on the ground, and we worked so hard every day. Boy, did we sleep well. But as you get older, I like having the absolute thickest sleeping pad I can get, and I take a pillow. So sometimes there's so much stuff on the routes that have real short portages, we'll do 2 carries on it. But the Wayden 17 guys, David Yost and I talk a lot about boats. People that know David well and know myself well kind of laugh when we get together. But David told me that he doesn't think that the Wayden 17 can be improved upon in design for tripping. For people looking for a lake country tripping boat where there's periodically windy, twisty streams like in the Boundary Waters, Quetico, Algonquin, it's got more rocker forward, straighter keel than the back. It's just so efficient in the water. And what's blown me away, it's got the tumble home I was showing you on the Wayden 16, is that this boat is so seaworthy. I've been in just enormous waves in this boat. And even though there's not the continuous flare right out to the side, there's enough of the pushing out on the shape of this boat and the bubbles carried way up. It really sheds the water, and I can't tell you how happy I am with this particular boat. David Yost has hit a lot of home runs in his life. The Wayden 16, the Wayden 17, the Wayden 18.6. David, you're a genius. If I haven't thanked you enough in life, you've made my tripping better, and to an extension, we're helping a lot of other consumers out there as well. So this setup's really neat. It's got the carbon tech package on it, the bow sliding seat, the carbon foot bar. Beautiful. Another Très Magnifique boat. So I'll take the packs out of this baby. I like to outfit my boats with, I put a rope usually in the front of it. It's funny, we had the rope all last year, and I think Adrian and I only used it once because we bring the canoes up most of the time. I use one of our padded yoke pads. They're $30 a piece. They've got that real thick medical foam in them. I don't have it right here. Actually, I do have one. If you want plush portaging, there's a lot of yoke pads on the market. This particular one has the non-slip surface on the bottom. There's 3 Velcro points. This is so comfortable. It's got the neoprene material on the top of it. So when I put it on, I do the middle one first, and then do the 2 sides. Now, I grew up in a camp in Algonquin Park, and a lot of the kids' camps, they teach you to carry the canoe with a tump line, which typically is a leather strap. It goes over your head, so you have the bar. Lash paddles also. So you'll see on this boat there's 2 metal clips either side of in front of the yoke here. I have a tump line that I feed through, so when I'm doing the longer portages, I put some of the weight on my head and some on my shoulders, and I find just lifting the canoe, whether you're going downhill or uphill a little, you can adjust how much weight you want on your neck and your shoulders. I don't like the yoke pads that are popular in the Boundary Waters. They concentrate the weight in one particular area. I really like this setup where it spreads the weight out. And Joe, do you want to come in the front for a sec? I'm going to flip this boat up. I'll just show people here for a sec. Here's another reason to have a 40-pound canoe. And that is just to make it easy. So with this particular yoke system, when I'm tripping, I can move it a little bit. I can move it forward. I can move it back. I really like the comfort of this. And with the foam that it has when you're walking, it's like having a little bit of shock absorber in it. Just makes it a lot easier. Beautiful setup. So tripping's my main thing, and we've been so busy the past couple of years. The majority of trips that Adrian and I go on are day trips, and both the Wayden 16 and 17 are just beautiful for that. In fact, that's why in this particular boat I had Terry move the seat forward a little bit, because we're day tripping a lot. We don't have the ability to put heavy packs to help compensate for the weight. Adrian tells me that maybe I should eat a little less linguine, a little bit of healthier food, but what a beautiful setup this is. So Scott, do you want to, should we roll into another question, or should I talk about tripping in a solo?
Actually, I've got a great one for you about tripping in a solo. I'm about to cover 3 topics in one minute.
Okay, I'm just going to grab a sip of tea. I'm listening.
Yeah, tell you what, you stay here, Bill, so the mic picks me up. But we got an email from a fellow, I'm sorry if I get the name wrong, I believe it was Brad Tremblay. And he was wondering if he had a solo pack boat, how best to load it if you're dealing with wind and waves. So I think showing him a little bit of the pack and then, headwind versus tailwind is the way to go. And somebody also asked about seeing a Cruiser 16.8. So
the pack version or canoe version?
They didn't specify, but let's do the pack version.
Okay.
And then we can cover all that in one.
Excellent. Great question. It's so important because especially when you're getting into the nicer design boats. So this is the boat that I have, the Cruiser 16.8. In fact, we took it out of production in the pack version for a year. And I had 4 or 5 guys that it was the right boat for. Bigger person, putting a lot of gear in. So I'll first show you this. Let's talk about the cruisers themselves. So we have 4 cruisers now. 12.8, our most popular one, the 14.8, the 15.8, and then this guy, the 16.8. So what we did with this particular shape, Joe's at a great angle now, filming. You can see that we've changed the shape of the gunnel. We tucked it in, and we made it where you can put your legs right against the side when you're paddling. It gives you a whole nother level of control when you can brace the sides of your legs like this, especially if you're getting out in big wind and waves. So very comfortable position. You feel a lot like you're in a kayak, like you have more hip control in the boat. Now, because we've tucked the sides in so much, you can just do a normal kayak stroke as well. You don't have to reach further out like some of the pack boats that are on the market. Look how much tumble home there is on this, guys. This is lots. Race C1s have a bit more, but they're flatter bottom. Little bit better in shallow water, but we have people using this Cruiser 16.8 in races now and doing extremely well. The Adirondack 90 miler, it won the stock class, and it's because it's so seaworthy. With the roundness to the chine area, look how much roundness there is here. The waves really roll underneath it without throwing the boat around, which happens a lot more in a race boat. And it's one of the things that David Yost, I think, has done the best of all the designers in the industry. He loves tripping, paddling in wind and waves. He's really watches a lot of people paddle. The more rounded you put the chine area, the more easily the waves roll underneath it with less effect of the boat moving around. And with the tumble home that we're doing, you can just do a really nice kayak stroke. And in fact, I take this boat out a lot with just the bent shaft canoe paddle also. Can paddle it right along the side here. So the question someone wanted to see the Cruiser 16.8 and then talk about tripping in it. How do you load the boat? So what I like to do when I'm going out by myself, was it the canoe or pack?
It was the canoe version.
Okay.
Can we switch them out?
Sure, let's switch them. You betcha. One of the neat things is that we're able to build more than one boat out of one mold. So these 2 boats come out of the exact same mold. For the Wayden 16, we've got the Wayden 16 Tandem Canoe. We've got the Wayden 16 combi version. And then we have the Wayden 16 Tandem pack boat, and they're all amazing boats. So let's talk about this for a second. Here's the Cruiser 16.8 Canoe. We developed this really cool, high, comfortable seat. It's got a carbon box on the bottom with carbon tubing. And the neat thing about it is the seat and the foot brace slide together. So let me show this to you. So what you can do with this version versus the pack version is you can put your feet right in the middle of the boat if you want to, because it's got the carbon foot bar going across. Now, all of our kayaks and our pack boats come standard with the kayak foot braces that are adjustable. The pack boats, you can also order the carbon foot bar, like I was showing you in the back of the Wayden 17 and 16, which goes all the way across. So this is a further extension on that. This is the carbon foot bar, but this quickly, I can adjust the length of it, just like that. I can bring it back. So it's just a great setup. While you're paddling, if you want a little bit more leg length, you just push down on these knobs and pull it out. If you want to pull it back, you push down and just tuck this back a little bit. Now, with this, if you feel like you're riding a little tail heavy, you might slide the seat forward. What I like to do if I'm really into performance paddling, racing, or tripping, or there's a real big market right now we're finding. Carmen tells me, who runs our Algonquin Test Paddling Center. People aren't looking to race. People are using paddling more and more as a fitness activity. The Cruiser series of pack boats are great for that because they accelerate so nicely and they just glide into the next stroke. All very straight keeled in the back end, so they really paddle beautifully. So this Canoe version, just absolutely amazing, the setup on this. The seat is very comfortable, and I'll use my kayak paddle in this configuration also. It's not limited to just canoeing. So a lot of people like the high back seat support, but if you really like a canoe seat, this is a real comfortable position that I'm in right now. So I believe the fellow's name was Michael, or maybe it was something different. He asked about packing. So here's how I like to go on a solo trip. I'll take a big pack, and right in the top of it, I'll put a dry bag with about 1/3 of the weight. So, and then what I do is, I put the main pack, I tuck it in real tight behind me, as tight as I can get it, and then the dry bag. And what I'd like to put in the dry bag is my camera equipment, the food I want to eat for the day, munchies. I put it right in front of me where I can get at it, or right here, so it's easy to get at it. By putting the weight forward, with this tucked in closer to the middle, with 2/3 of the weight, and 1/3 of the weight in front of you, with my paddle, I can just push and pull this if I feel I may want it a little bit forward. This is a great way to solo trip. Our boats are so light that you can really do the portages in one carry with both the canoe and the pack at the same time. There's been a real generation of people tripping real light.
I have a follow-up question for you, and I believe it's from Laney Durocher. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right, but we know him. He was inquiring, how do you know if you're trimmed well if you're in the boat?
Okay, so here's one thing I was going to get into that. Laney, great question. Hope your Prospector 16's working out well. And Laney lives in Quebec, and we've been getting great snow this year where we are, and I know Quebec just got hammered again with snow. So we love to backcountry ski snowshoe up here, and the conditions have been just fantastic so far this year. So what I like to do, I like to throw a little bit of water into the boat and see where it goes when you're solo paddling. So if you see it run to the front pretty quickly, you know you've got to slide your seat back a little bit. And once you get it where the water's kind of right underneath you and you can just feel it, you can see it moving back around, you know you're really level. In whatever boat you have, if Laney's in his Prospector 16 or if you're in a cruiser pack, you get to know the feel of the boat when it's like that. So you don't have to throw the water in every time you go paddling. You can really know. Another way you can really find out is that our boats are all designed where the bows are a little more playful than the sterns. So if you feel that your bow is kind of stuck, that you're pushing it, it may be bow down a little bit. And if you find that the stern's really loose, you're going to want to bring weight back some way, pull the dry bag, lift it up, pull it closer to you. Or conversely to that, if you just feel like the bow's up and maybe the wind's blowing it around more and the stern feels kind of stuck, you may be stern heavy and you have to do the opposite. You need to move weight forward somehow. So a lot of it, you know, it was funny. I talked to Joe and Scott when I came in this morning, and I can't believe some of the questions that people post in some of the Facebook groups, like, how are the bugs going to be in May this year? Well, how do we know? Some things you learn by experience. So Lainey and everyone out there listening, the whole idea by doing this is I love to give you guys pointers, but a lot of it you learn by trial and error. How do you hang your pack at night? It's great to get guidance and have people give suggestions and stuff. The best thing is to go out there and do it. How are the bugs going to be in May? Who the heck knows? But we do know how to trim a canoe. So putting the water in, seeing where it goes is the best way to start with that. So Scott, I have somewhere I can lead into, unless you got another one.
You go right ahead and then I'll get you on the next one.
Okay, so this is what Carmen isn't going to like, our marketing manager. So Joe, we're going to come around the corner here. So I'm going to show you two boats that are not in our price list. And Scott, this is the question that Michael from Arizona has. Is it too dark in here, Joe, or can you see okay? Okay, here's the Cruiser 15.8, and here's the Cruiser 14.8. But notice, they are not in the pack configuration. They have the same setup I just showed you in the Cruiser 16.8 Canoe. So, what we did is we developed different height seat bases for these. The Cruiser 14.8 is the lowest because it's narrower. Cruiser 15.8 is an inch wider, 8 foot longer, brought the seat up a little higher, and the Cruiser 16.8 is even a little bit more. So what this is, guys, if you really love the idea of having the canoe seat, having the sliding seat, move with the boat, you like bench shaft paddling or canoeing, these Cruiser 14.8 and the 15.8, these two boats are incredible. We have an issue, though, that we need to sell 30 or more of each model, or we don't want to go through the marketing effort of putting it on our website, educating all our dealers. But this is a sneak peek, and we have not introduced this to the public at all. These boats are both available. Jonas in Saskatchewan has got an order for one of these. Our dealer at Classic Outdoors. He had a customer that wanted a 16.8, asked if they could get a smaller version of it for his wife, so we're building a 14.8 for his wife. So very, very cool feeling boats. We had a gal. For those of you that are into the outdoors and a little bit of competition, there's something called the Yukon Quest. Started out as a dog sledding race. 1,000 miles, Yukon to Alaska, vice versa. They switch the course every year. It's canceled this year, unfortunately. But then a few years ago, they started a Yukon Quest canoe race. And incredible race. You can do it solo, you can do it with one partner, two people, or they have bigger boats that go in it. We have a gal from British Columbia that is doing it this year. She had us build her a 15.8, just like you see it right here. With a little twist, though. she got a rudder system put on it. And for those of you that don't know, the Yukon is one of the biggest rivers in North America. It's got a huge volume of water going through it. So it's got a lot of current and it can be really windy. So anyone doing the Yukon Quest canoe race this year, you'll see a Cruiser 15.8 with this canoe seat on it and a rudder system. Hopefully I didn't open too many can of worms there, Carmen. We don't want to make people's jobs too complicated selling boats. So some people say that we have too many choices. And I agree with you, but there's so many different types of paddling. And we're really into developing really lightweight boats. And this guy has that beautiful Raven finish on it. Lightweight boats, just for paddling. Guys, I have an issue in life. I have a serious boat addiction. If any of you know any cures. So we always feel a need to try to come out with new things. So the boat addiction has led to a Cruiser 14.8 and a Cruiser 15.8. Lifting a boat. Let's go over this real quick. Remember what Mom always said? Bend with your knees. Pull it up into you. Right in the middle. Reach over. Turn the boat on the side. Then stand up. These boats are so light, and one of the neat things about our carbon Kevlar trim is the gunnel's rounded. So it really fits on your shoulders nicely. So I didn't finish up on this, but I'm big, so I may make that Cruiser 14.8 look small. We have a fellow named Michael in Arizona that's thinking about getting one of these boats. And he's about 170 pounds. He could definitely do with the 14.8 if he's mostly day paddling. And for those folks that don't know, the reservoirs, the dams and the reservoirs that have been created, he sent us a video. There's some beautiful places to go paddling in Arizona. So someone 180, 220. I love the 15.8 also. So we did this boat for me. I mean, the 16.8 is my canoe. I like it. My cottage is boat access. I can put like 100 pounds of gear in the boat, a big cooler, and I can paddle to it, and it's got lots of volume. These are a little bit lower volume. So keep these in mind for those that are in Ontario, or when the border opens again. They are at our test paddling center. It's just outside Algonquin Park at our flagship store in Oxtongue Lake. And Scott, how about another question?
Ooh, let's see what we got.
Cheers. Anyone have any cures for boat addictions, though? Let me know. But the benefit of is we are creating all these incredible boats for people to paddle.
It's funny. One of the comments, actually, someone just referred to you as a boat geek, which I thought was pretty fitting.
Nice.
A common question that we've got a lot in the last week is people asking about barrels that fit in the cruiser boat. Whether a 30-liter barrel will fit in the front of a 15.8 and 15.8.
Great question.
Yeah, if we could maybe do a fit on the cruiser pack boats, I think that would help some people.
Yeah, Joe, do you want to come out this way? We'll try to social distance here. And Scott, do you want to help me bring the 14.8 and 15.8 down here? So we just took a look at, guys, the two canoes we just looked at. These are their standard configuration. They're pack boats. The 14.8 is our best-selling pack boat, and this 15.8, for someone a little bit bigger, this boat is just killer. So someone a little bit bigger, someone want to do a longer distance tripping. So 30-liter barrels. How many liters are the big barrels? Are there 60?
Yes.
Wow, which one of you guys loaded this one up?
That was me.
Okay, so look at this, guys. The 30-liter fits nicely. So it'll fit real well, too, in the 15.8, of course. And I'm wondering, let me come back here for a sec, Joe. Because I like to, yeah, look at that. There you go, Scott. The 30-liter fits beautifully sideways in the 15.8. And of course, a lot of people get the Wayden 15 or Prospector 14 to trip with, and the barrels fit great in those particular boats. Still has a seat tab on it. So guys, take a look at this boat. And actually, let me grab a paddle while we do this, Joe. I'll grab both the bench shaft. So guys, here are my paddles. They are chewed to heck. I use these a lot, and I use them hard. So I have at my camp in Algonquin, I have 2 Cruiser 16.8s that myself and my buddy Tom use a lot when we go day paddling. This 15.8 though I love. Got another buddy, Art, who has incidentally a nanotechnology company. If you guys want to Google Nanosphere, it's in Kettering, Ohio. They do incredible stuff for the military and airline industry. So this boat, the 15.8, the seat's a little lower than the 16.8. I can just paddle right along the side very comfortably. I can use either the bench shaft paddle, I can use a shorter straight shaft paddle, and then here's what I use mostly. There's lots of good kayak paddles in the market, so the right kayak paddle for you is the one that feels good to you. I love the Werners. I love how tight the ferrule system is. I love the blade shape. When you get the Calis, the carbon one, it's foam filled, so when you do sculling strokes, draw strokes, there's very little flutter in the blade. These Werner paddles are a really good match for swift boats. People at first thought I was crazy for this, but I use a 260. And the reason is I like to adjust it where the drip rings drip the water outside the gunnels while I'm paddling. So it keeps most of the water outside of the boat. Werner has a new version that we sell tons of called the lever lock, where you can adjust it from 240 to 260, and the angle, the pitch of it, just in one crank. And I'm going to show one of those a little bit later. Absolutely incredible paddle. That's what I would get now. This is just a paddle I've been using forever. Really lightweight and strong. You see all the scratches I've put on these? So, Cruiser 15.8, 14.8, which one is going to be the best for you? A lot of people now, the 14.8, it looks low cut. All of these back boats, they look low. DY's brought the bubble way, way up the side of them. So it really does push the splash and spray off to the side. I had a 220-pound guy that I talked to last fall that tripped for 10 days in his Cruiser 14.8 last year. And people were telling him they thought the boat was too small. It's got way more volume than it appears to have. And part of that is the seaworthiness you get with the shape, with the flare to the ends of the boat and the bubble really pushing the waves way out to the side. And a lot of it is how you pack. Joe Robinette has done a video on where his total pack weight was 15 pounds on a 5-day trip, which to me is crazy. I think I take that much weight in food alone. He didn't take a tent. So some people really like to take a lot of gear with them. With the solo boats, I always try to get people, go up a boat. Go from the 14.8 to 15.8. If you're teetering on that, if you really like to take a lot of gear, if sometimes you want to take a dog with you, go up a boat. You're always better to have some reserve stability and capacity. What you may lose is this boat may weigh 2 pounds more than the other boat. In a real wavy day, if you're lightly loaded, you'll have a little bit more boat above the waterline that the wind can blow. But these boats are really good in wind and waves. I wouldn't worry about the latter too much. So the Prospector 14 is so different than these boats, and we're tending to sell a lot more of those right now than the bigger cruisers. And the reason is there's so many people that want to take a lot of gear that may also want to take a dog. If you're taking a dog, there's things called loons and mergansers and other ducks that are in the water, and there's nothing like being by yourself with a dog, being out in the bush. A dog adds so much life to a trip. And we had a dog, Nausea, it was my brother's dog, that whenever he saw a loon, he would dive out of the boat into the water. And having a big volume boat to take his weight, he was this reddish golden retriever that weighed about 80 pounds. It's good to have more stability for something like that, especially when you bring a wet dog back into the boat in the middle of a lake. And pretty funny to see a dog's reaction to when a loon dives underwater and they don't know where it's gone. So, Cruiser 14.8, 15.8, is that good, Scott?
That was very good.
So what do you think?
I got another one for you if you want to switch gears.
So guys, it's snowing like crazy out here right now. We're getting more and more snow. It's beautiful. We love it though.
The Prospector 15 combi pods.
Yes.
Do we have them?
Yep, right behind you. That was the first boat we pulled down. Why don't we pull it down again?
Yeah, and actually we could do this as a 2-for-1 because we're getting a lot of questions about paddle fitting.
Do you want to go further out towards Joe? We'll angle it like this. Scott, can you grab me one of the bigger lever locks?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had a customer I talked about to this week. His name is Ali Sadur from Montreal area, from Kirkland, Quebec, and he ordered a Prospector 15 combi. And he wanted us to go over paddles and different things with him. So everybody, what's neat about this seat system, this multi-height pods, is it gives you so much versatility. So with the upper position like this right now, I can use a canoe paddle so comfortably. So I tend to use, I've got a short one here just because of the purposes of this. I like to use a 57 or 60 inch. I love an otter tail or a little bit bigger shape like this, a beaver tail paddle. So mostly I use the canoe paddle in the upper position, but I also like to use the kayak paddle quite a bit. Now when you use the canoe paddle, one of the beauties of our seat systems, guys, is that it's so easy to move around in the boat. Excellent, thanks, Scott. Perfect. So I paddle a lot with one knee down, one leg up. If it gets super windy and wavy, it's so easy. I've got size 12.5 feet. For me to just put both knees under, give me more stability, a little bit more volume. But whenever possible, it does constrict the blood flow to your knees a little bit. It's so nice to be able to just put your legs out, have everything go. So here's something. This is, I think, the absolute best paddle on the market for someone that has a solo canoe, someone that's got a pack boat. So this is called the Werner adjustable lever lock. So it is, I'm going to pop that out. This is a 2-piece paddle. And it's really cool what they've done here. So you've got 20 centimeters of play. Bending Branches has some great paddles like this also. This just happens to be the line we sell a lot of. So you can adjust from 240 to 260. So I'm pretty big, and you can adjust the angle too. I like to use a 30 right control. So again, you can adjust it so with the drip rings, you drip most of the water outside of the boat. So this upper position, a lot of people will use with the kayak paddle. And then if I go down to the lower position, and a lot of people get the GCI sit backer chair that goes right on here to give back support if you want to do some fishing and stuff. It's the height of all our pack boat seats, gives you more stability, and definitely great to use with a kayak paddle with that. Or a lot of people like to use a shorter canoe paddle when you get down low. Fishing, moving around. So one of the things I was thinking of getting Joe and Scott to talk to you about, I'm going to have a little bit of break in a bit, is just about the universal mount package and the ways that you can use it to adjust. You can put camera equipment on it, fish gear and so on. When I was at camp, the way we fished is we would throw a line out. We'd put the pole, one part of it under one leg and have it come across the other, and we'd paddle and we'd troll. And we wouldn't have the fish rod mounted to anything, and that's how I learned to fish, and it worked great. Now, there's so many options available where you can hook the lines up to different thwarts, different places on your boat. So I don't fish a lot anymore. I did a trip when I was 17, the Pipestone and Winnesque Rivers to Hudson's Bay, and it was one of those trips where at the bottom of every rapid where we'd camp, every single cast you'd throw out, you'd reel in a fish. If you didn't reel in a fish, there was something wrong with you. So now I came back to Southern Ontario after that trip, and you got to work harder to do it. And everybody's into their thing in life. Some people love fishing. Some people love having dogs and pets. I love paddling, developing nice boats. So fishing isn't a big thing for me, but I can tell you that the boats we've created are awesome vessels with the universal mount packages set up for fishing. A lot of the real big, heavy fishing boats in the market weigh 100, 150, 200 pounds. You've got to use a trailer with them. And there's many people, if you want to do, this is one thing. As soon as you do one carry, one portage, and you get into a secondary lake, your fishing is going to improve at least 50%. Because so many people just fish the lake that they can put a boat in and cruise around. As soon as you start portaging and going more into the backcountry, the fishing gets better. So these lightweight Prospector 14s with the universal mount package have been so popular. They're just incredible. So we sell these Werner lever lock paddles. Many of our dealers do. And guys, just a quick side note is that the pandemic's here. So it's created a huge demand for outdoor products. We're back ordered right now for orders in Ontario to June. And many of our dealers have some orders in place. So if you do want a boat, you can contact us. We can let you know how to get something. But if you are looking to get a boat this year, that I would suggest doing it sooner rather than later, getting it on order. These Werner lever lock paddles, we've ordered a ton of them and we have them coming in. There may not be a lot of them in stock at certain dealers, but we may be able to help you get one. The Werner now isn't allowing any dealer to adjust their orders at all. And it's been the pandemic and that there's under capacity right now in our industry. And it's created a second issue in that there's a large generation of people right now that are coming up, buying equipment, going into the backcountry that have little or no experience. Hence the question, how are the bugs going to be in May? So one of the things that has happened is Mother Nature is taking a beating right now. And people are going into, let's put it this way. Adrian and I were on a trip, and this is on a very popular weekend, Labor Day weekend in Algonquin Park. We went by this, we were just out for the day going for a nice cruise. We went by this huge group of like 30 people that was spread out all over this portage. One of the guys literally had a suitcase that he was rolling down the hill, pulling it with a leash. And this is a crazy up and down rocky, rooty portage. And then a little bit later, someone came by with a keg of beer that was empty. Then a little bit later, people started coming by with canoes, and they had tape decks on, listening to music on the portage. And everybody does things for different reasons. I really like to hear the sounds of nature on a portage. So anyways, Adrian and I got out to the lake that they were on. And we come up to a campsite, and they had been there. They had left that campsite at least an hour earlier, maybe longer. The fire was still going. They had cut down live trees. There was garbage everywhere. It was one of the most disgusting things I've seen. And we're hearing that a lot of people right now. People are cutting down fresh pine boughs for their tent sites. People are moving fireplaces closer to the water where they shouldn't be. We're going to do a Facebook Live show in the spring when we can be outdoors, where we're going to set up a campsite on a water. And the nature of the video in the Facebook Live show is going to be canoe camping ethics and etiquette. And we're going to go through a number of topics, and I'm going to have Bob Stinson from our South River store help us. And we're going to talk about things like when you get to a portage, you don't leave your canoe in the water right at the entrance to the portage if you're going to double back and get it. You take your equipment up and you put it way off to the side in the bush so you have consideration for other people coming through. And there are stories that we actually heard at a portage. There's a one access point in Algonquin, access point 1, Kawagama Lake, going into North Tee, that there on a Friday, there was a whole bunch of like 15, 20 canoes going down this river. And there's reports that people actually had a fist fight at a portage on the way into Algonquin Park. So we want to help lighten this up and try to, I'm really lucky. I grew up with parents that had a canoe trip and camp in Algonquin Park, so I learned all this as a kid. I had parents that taught me, I had trip leaders at the camp that taught me how to hang your food, how to camp with minimal impact on the environment. We used to drink the water straight out of all the lakes without doing any filtration at all. And times have changed. So we want to do our part. And I just saw, a friend of mine sent me that the Boundary Waters canoe area has a video that when you sign up for a permit, that I don't know if you have to watch it or they send it to you or whatever. Great idea. So we want to do our part. We're going to do a Facebook Live show on it and create a video for people that are getting into canoe camping. I went to the Galapagos Islands to go scuba diving years ago, and it's a pretty wild area. It's off the coast of South America, 1,000 kilometers. Incredible. There's just the stuff you see out there. It's a wild area to go diving, though. There's lots of currents. They wouldn't let people dive, even if they had PADI certification, without watching an intro video. So I'm hoping that we'd like to help the MNR, the Ministry of Natural Resources, the U.S. Forestry Service, whoever it is. We all need to try to educate this new generation of paddlers more. So we're going to do that show come springtime. And so let's keep this lighthearted. We want to help Mother Nature out. Mother Nature is beautiful, and we want to help out. We wanted her around for a long time. Like George Carlin said, people are the problem. People are going to eventually go away. The earth is going to be around here forever. Let's do whatever we can to keep it in the best shape as possible. So what do you think, Scott? Enough environmental talk?
I think you covered it all. We've covered all the questions, and everyone was actually, there's a lot of positive comments about what you just said about the videos. And apparently in the Boundary Waters, you have to watch 3 videos before they allow you to enter.
Yeah, excellent.
We're all set here.
We need to do that for Algonquin. So what time do we have now?
1:40.
Okay, so guys, do you want to talk about packing, or Scott, or could we bring down a boat with a universal mount package and you can talk about?
Yeah, tell you what, why don't we do the universal mount package? And somebody also asked about detachable yokes.
Yeah.
You can walk me through that. So maybe we can do that on one boat.
Excellent. Let's put this Prospector 15 back up. Actually, let's do the detachable yoke on the Prospector 16. Do you want me to roll into that first?
Sure.
Let's put this one down. So this is the boat that Laney got. I don't know if he got the multi-height pods, but he got the Prospector 16 combi. So let me just show this to you guys. If you're ordering a combi canoe and you are just out 2 people tripping, this is what the boat looks like. Beautiful. So the thwart, the yoke is sticking up a little bit, but it's actually not a bad thing. You get a little bit more sight as you're on the Portage. So if you're going solo or if you have 3 people in the canoe, it's so easy to put this in different configurations. So let me put this back in and let's talk about. So we do either a cherry or a carbon detachable yoke. So there's pins inset in here. So when you put the yoke on, guys, I'd like to tell people this. Don't crank and crank it, crank and crank. This isn't a weightlifting competition. Get it to where it's snug. If you just keep cranking and cranking and cranking, you can potentially pull the pin up a little bit. And when you flip the boat up, what I do is I don't put my hands right here, I put them right here and here. So the cherry one weighs about 2.5 pounds. And then we also do it in carbon, and it weighs 1.5 pounds. So it just takes 30 seconds. So when I'm paddling, what I do is I just tuck it into the side like this. Solo paddling, doing trips. And again, let me go over this again with you. This quickly, I can adjust this from one position to the other. Terry and Matt, you guys are freaking geniuses. We've developed a really cool pin system here. This is something Terry at our factory's done. So it's the last thing we install on the boat. We balance them perfectly, and then we put the pins in. So if you order a pack boat or a combi, it comes standard with the pins in it. You can also order the yoke, but if you want to get the yoke later, the pins are already in it. So why don't I'll show everyone why don't we put this back up and I'll show everyone the carbon yoke setup. So do we want to bring down Sean James' boat, or do we want to bring down let's bring down this one. Remember Matt Steffler comment, who doesn't love carbon? So this is a configuration that Sean James had, and actually, Scott, why don't we talk to the folks about what we're doing with this. So this is the boat that Sean James has used this past year. It is a Expedition carbon boat with the Basalta Negra inside. It's got the universal mount package, the carbon foot bar. It's got the adjustable height system to it. And Sean's asked for a new boat for this year, so we're going to be doing something very unique with this old boat. Scott, why don't we just tell everyone?
Yeah, do you want to hear the news on this?
Yes.
So, yeah, for anyone who doesn't know Sean James by name, he's also my Self-Reliance. He has a popular YouTube following. You can check him out on social media. Bill, I actually need to stay close to me because of the mic. So, right now, Sean has basically this boat, and it was getting to be time for an upgrade. So I talked to Sean, we talked to Sean, worked out some details, and he's going to simplify things a little bit this year. So we're going to do the same boat, but in a very cool traditional color scheme. A lot of natural rich cherry wood. So it's going to be very much in Sean's style, which is traditional. And what we're going to do with his existing boat is we're going to raffle it off for charity. So we're still working out the details. If anyone has any suggestions or recommendations on charitable causes that they'd like to nominate, we'd love to hear it. Ideally, we'd like to help support the outdoors in some capacity, something to do with preservation or conservation. As Bill just talked about, that's going to be a growing issue in coming years. So do stay tuned. We are going to start selling some tickets this spring, and everyone will have their chance at getting Sean's old boat.
Nice. Yeah, we did it before once, and we do it with Mike Ranta. It's quite, who's another character. So guys, here's the carbon detachable yoke. So it only weighs about 1.5 pounds. We put the foam on it. But even though it's got the foam, I still like to put the foam yoke pad on top of that, like I showed you before on my Wayden 17, on Luna. So do you have more questions, Scott, or do you want me to rap about this a little bit?
You can rap about that one, and I think we've covered just about everything.
Okay, super. So a lot of people, here's the Prospector 14. And we talked earlier about how this is one of our absolutely most popular boats. So part of the reason is the waterline width on it. Do you want to go low for a second again, Joe? The waterline width is really narrow on this. Like, it looks big and full. This boat really paddles beautifully. In the pack configuration with a kayak paddle, I'm amazed that this boat can cook along. But it's got so much volume above the waterline where it gets wider and wider. So, as we talked earlier with the tandem boats, what this really does is it gives you incredible final stability, that you can lean the boat way over, really good seaworthiness, waves can really be pushed off to the side, and very importantly for dog owners, this is the best solo boat to get for people that have a considerably sized dog. Let's say 40 pounds and over. So you can have the dog right. I like keeping the dog. When I used to paddle a lot with Naja, or I had another dog, Gareth, I like keeping them in between the bow thwart and where I am, even though it's a little bit tight. Sometimes I had to modify my stroke a little bit if he's getting up. But what it does is it keeps the dog's weight in the middle. And importantly, if there are loons or ducks or a mink scurrying along the shore, it helps you to be able to just grab the collar right away and say, easy there now for a second. And a big thing with my dog Gareth is that he'd want to jump out of the canoe 50 yards before he got to the portage if he could. So I'd like to just be able to hold it to where I knew it would be safe for him to get out. So now a lot of people love the volume and the stability, not just for a dog, but fishing. This boat is set up so nicely where you can keep a fish tackle box right in front of you. And it's got these attachment points on it. We put 3 across the bow thwart and then 2 on the back thwart. You can put rod holders on, fish finder attachments, transducer attachments. So great setup for fishing. You can get rods set up where you can paddle and you can be trolling, and if your fish hits, you can see it right away and just grab the rod. And also, it's a lot of naturalists like this, people that are really into photography. There's really cool setups you can get where you can mount your camera to keep it real steady right on these attachment points as well. So they add a lot of versatility, and the company we use is called Scotty. You can Google Scotty fishing mounts, and you can see all the different attachments you can get. There's hundreds of them. So lots of different things you can do them for. So do you think we should sign out, Scott, or is there anything else coming up?
We've covered everything. I think we're good. Sean James was just watching too, so he heard us talking about his boat.
Nice.
But we're all set. We're good.
All right, let's get a good environmental cause going to raise money with Sean's boat, and whoever gets, Sean is a great guy. If any of you haven't checked his material out, My Self-Reliance, he's quite the character. So guys, we really appreciate you listening. We love developing all these boats, and we've got this serious boat addiction where we just love building beautiful boats, and we think that the best answer for everyone that's thinking, wow, which boat do I get, is get more than one of them. 2 or 3 maybe. Would be a lot. So we really appreciate you listening. We are going to be doing something very similar to this again for the Canoe Copia event. It's going to be through a platform called Wova, and it's not going to be Facebook Live, but we are going to interact with you. And Scott, I think it's a weekend, I think about a March 12th through 14th or somewhere in there, whatever that weekend is. So we're going to have scheduled shows where we're going to do an hour on pack boats, an hour on kayaks, an hour on combi canoes, an hour on tandems. So we're going to be posting a schedule before Canoe Copia, but we're going to make it live where you can interact with us and you can send Scott some questions and we can answer them for you again. So thanks for listening. It's happy birthday, Skinny, my mom. Happy 93rd birthday. And I don't have a favorite for the Super Bowl. Let's hope for a good game. And it's snowing out now, so I'm going to head out backcountry skiing. Thanks for listening, y'all.